Hey, what are you doing?
Oh shit, you scared me. Nothing, I'm sanding, doing what I always do. Good morning, welcome back here to the shop. We are hard at work. This is actually Friday, so I'm bringing this to you at the end of the week. All week long, I've been pretty much finishing up my glider stand that I was working on last week. I've gone ahead and given the bow rockers a final sand and then capped the screw holes on the slats, so that's ready to sand too. So really, what I'm going to work on here today is getting this all sanded in a final sand. I want to belt sand the tenons and our wedge in here that holds this all together. I want to get that all belt sanded and get that all sanded down nice and smooth on the top and the bottom. Give it all a quick sand once again, and then we can take it into the paint booth and we're going to start to put our stain down on both of these pieces. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's why I'm starting this video or this episode at the end of the week, because there really wasn't too much exciting going on. I've got our large paint back in the paint booth again. I've got to touch that up, and I also have the medium on bow rockers. That's also a paint, and I've gone ahead and I painted that. I'll take you into the paint booth here in just a few minutes and I'll show you all of that. I've still got a little bit of detail work to do on our medium paint horse, but everything is coming together. Once these are done, this one's going to ship out next week. We'll get the tack put on that next week. I want to clear coat hopefully maybe Saturday. I might even jump in here Sunday. I hate to work on a Sunday, but I may jump in here Sunday and go ahead and clear coat things, and then that can kind of dry. And then really I'm just down the final assembly on both of these pieces. And then we can get this large. This one's going, I believe, to Wisconsin, so I can get this crated up and get this shipped out. So that's what's going on right now. Once these are out of the way, then we're going to finish Larissa over here. We're going to finish the other medium horse on bow rockers. That's going to be a blood bay, and I don't think I painted that. So I'm excited to show you all a blood bay on cherry rockers. These things are pretty outstanding, and then we're going to start on some new things. So that is something else I'm anxious to share with you all. But right now, let's go ahead, let's get the belt sander. I've got it out, and let's go ahead and give this a quick sand, and then we can head into the paint booth, do a few things in there, we'll get set up and we'll start staining. Over here at the bench, I'm ready to go ahead and start giving my bow rockers here, these cherry bow rockers, a final sand. I've plugged my screw holes here with cherry plugs. You know, years ago, I used to leave these plugs kind of pronounced a little bit. I didn't sand them flush. The problem I've always run into, it doesn't matter how much glue or a little bit of ooze that you have when you put these plugs in. I always wipe everything down, the excess that I have. I always wipe it down with a nice damp cloth. I keep it clean. I don't care what you do. It's a struggle to try to get every bit of glue off of there. And believe me, I'm just using a little bit, and you'll just see a little bit of ooze, and it doesn't matter really what I do. There's always a little bit, and then you're in here trying to sand it. It's not worth it. So what I do is I just plug it, and then I'll go in here with my orbital, my palm sander with 80 grit, and then I'll go to 120, sand everything nice and smooth and flush. That way, kids are going to be getting on and off of this thing anyways, and you know, kids, they're going to be rough. And I always laugh because I always say kids know how to put a certain patina on something. So that's a polite way of saying they're going to, abuse it, scratch it, that kind of thing. Kids are going to do what kids do. Sanding these smooth, you don't have to worry about that, or sanding these flush. So, and then I can always get that glue. If there is a little bit of glue residue left over, then I know I'm getting a really good sand on that, and you're not going to see that come up with the, when I go to stain it. As far as the plugs up here on my spindles go, I'm leaving those off for now. I'll put those on when I get it into the paint booth, but it's easier to sand this when these plugs aren't in. This is an area, though, I will leave the plug pronounced. I think it just looks a little bit better. You could sand it smooth, and I've done that in the past too. But I kind of like the look of these being, just pronounced just a little bit, as well as where our stretchers attach to the frame or our box. I leave those sticking out, and when I wipe that all down and get the excess glue, I really work hard at getting that all off of there, and so that's not a big problem. But these up here always seem to be a problem. Just sand them flush and be done with it, and it'll look just as good. So I've got some 80 grit in my palm sander, my glider stand over here, that's ready to go. We're ready to put stain on that. The hoof rails are behind me. These are all done. Everything's drilled. I've got our bushings countersunk, so that's all done. So these are ready for the paint booth. I've got some marks here left over that I've got to sand out. They're not very deep, so it won't take much to get these sanded out. This is left over from when I'm lifting the horse on and off to fit the hooves and fit those notches so that everything looks nice. So all we got to do is just give this a good sand, and then we can head into the paint booth. With our glider stand and our rocker all sanded and ready to bring in here to the paint booth, one thing I want to do here real quick before we get into staining those two pieces out there, we have our second paint horse up on my stand here. And these are pretty simple to do, but I'm going to kind of play with it a little bit. You've heard me say before about how I like to play with color, and I'm always kind of, trying to come up with other things. I'll sit in the evening when my wife and I are watching TV, or when I'm doing something kind of chilling or watching some of my own channels on YouTube that I like to watch. I'm kind of sometimes looking on the internet, on Pinterest and different things for different paint ideas. A buckskin, a paint horse, a palomino, something. I'm always kind of looking and studying those. And I came across a paint horse that has this chocolate color on it, but it also has some really nice reddish areas up underneath the belly, on the back areas here, just around that. really looked nice. So I played with it out there on the large horse just to see what it would do. And I'm going to show you how I do it. We're going to play with it here a little bit. And again, I don't know how this is going to turn out. I did play with it out there and it came out really, really cool. But I just did a few little areas just to sort of test it. But now I'm going to kind of really play with it, and I'm going to spray. What I'm doing is, I found if I use my buckskin color, which is kind of like a taupe or like a like a tan, you know, a real light tan, and if I go in here and I just kind of spray some of that taupe color, that buckskin color here and up underneath here, and then I can airbrush some different colors over top of all of that, it's going to give us that kind of that reddish, like just a really cool color. And I think it would really offset, and I thought, let's try it here and let's just see how it looks. Again, it's just paint. I haven't uncovered. This is all taped up here, and this is how I do it. If you're interested in how I paint these horses, I'll put a link up here in the my left, your right, up here in the corner on how I did it. And I've done videos before on how I paint these horses. So my markings are already taped off. They're up underneath the brown paint here. So once we get everything airbrushed and done, then I can go back in, just like I did on my time lapse. If you saw that, we'll pull all the tape and then you're going to see all the markings. So anyways, I've got paint in the gun. I'm going to go ahead and hit my exhaust fan, and let's just try this and see how it comes out here. So I've got the camera here. Hopefully with this big window, you know, the sun's not going to wash it out too much, but I have a camera up here over top of me. I'll bring you in here a little bit closer. But right now, all I'm going to do is just kind of spray some of this tan all over and up underneath here. And then we'll just have to walk away and let it dry. And then we'll come back in, we'll play and airbrush and finish this little guy up. I'm not going to put my mask on because I'm really not going to be, I'm not spraying a lot. Let me see if I can get you in here a little bit closer. There we go. Well, what do you think? Now, again, it might be hard to see with the light coming through the window there, but there is white or an off-white underneath the tape. So this is like a taupe or a, like a tan color. So I don't know if the camera's picking that up or not, but I don't know. We'll just see how this, I've got some ideas, and like I said, I tried it, so I think this is going to work. Again, if it doesn't, well, then we'll just, paint over it again, and we'll just do what I normally do. But I hope this works. This is going to really look pretty cool if this all comes together. So we'll let that sit here for a little while. I'm going to go out, paint the big paint horse. It's out on my other table out there. So I'm going to go ahead and start touching up the white around that. We'll give this an hour or so, then we'll come in and we'll start playing with the airbrush and see what we can do with this. I don't know. We'll see. Good morning. It's Saturday morning here in the shop. I did work a little bit late last night, and I've got things stained. You can see behind me I've got the bow rocker stained, and I'm going to go ahead and I've got everything set up. I want to go ahead and clear coat here this morning, and I have our glider stand in the paint booth. That's going to be the first thing I clear here this morning. I figured let's get those done, and then I can kind of get that out of the shop so that it's not in a dusty environment. I can put them out in the front room out there where they'll be safe so we can finish up our large horse and our other paint horse. Now, our other paint horse here, I was going to jump into the paint booth last night and kind of paint it. The reason I didn't do it yesterday is there was just too much sun coming through there, and that's one thing I'm going to address here once my schedule kind of lightens up. And I want to trim out the window, and I want to trim out my other windows here in the shop as well. But I do have a nice blind that I can put up into that paint booth window that would help cut down on some of that light. So that's going to be coming up. But for now, I just didn't want to get in there and take the chance. So we may do that here later on this evening. Today we got some snow outside, and it's pretty bright again out there. So this is a good day just to clear coat everything and work on that. But I'll give you an idea here of what the horse looks like. So here's our little paint horse. This is what we did yesterday. So it doesn't look like much now, but maybe you can kind of see that buckskin color, that taupe or that tan color coming through a little bit better. So we'll mess with that later on this evening when it's not so bright in the paint booth. But yeah, we've got that one pretty well underway. There's our hoof rails. Now you can see here, this is another area, and I think maybe the camera will pick it up a little bit better, but that was the tan, and this is what I'm shooting for with the other paint horse. But I'm going to do a lot more up in the the rump area, up underneath the belly. But it really kind of makes a really pretty cool effect, and that's what I'm going for. I did a little bit here, as you can see, but I want to do a little bit more, make it a little bit brighter. But again, it's pretty bright outside today, so the shop, there's a lot of light coming through. We can come around here. Maybe you can see a little bit better. Yeah, you might be able to see that better. So that's the effect we're going to go for on our other paint horse. Once we get everything cleared today, and then we can move on. I've got the hooves to finish painting on that. That won't take long. I've been touching up our white on our large horse, so that's pretty well done. I don't know if I'll get in there today, probably maybe tomorrow. And again, I hate to work on a Sunday, but I may just go ahead and set up and clear coat this large horse so that that's done. So Monday morning we can just start assembling and do our final assembly on all of this, and that'll be ready to ship out of here. So we'll just see how it goes here today. But for now, let's jump in the paint booth. I've got everything set up and ready to go, and we can go ahead and get some clear put down. There we go. Now when I do my glider stands, when I spray, really the only thing I do is I'll flip it upside down and just do one coat on the bottom side of my glider stand. The same thing with the bow rockers too. We'll do that on the, we'll do the underside of that first. Just a good coat underneath. Really, that's all you need. I'm not going to give 3 coats on the bottom of this. I think it's just a waste. Up under here, I did 1 coat, but we'll give this 2 more coats. I didn't do the turnings just yet, and the reason I didn't do it, that's so I can get a hold of it and flip it upside down. So I have drying blocks ready to go, so we're going to set the our cross pieces right up on top of that to keep it from sticking, and we're all set and ready to go. Now again, if you're interested in what I might be spraying, this is a water-based or waterborne finish. It's Chem Aqua Plus by Sherwin-Williams, and I've been spraying this now. I don't think it's been quite a year, but it's coming up. I think June, maybe May or June is when I started spraying it and making the transition over. I'm really digging it. I really do. I'm liking it. The only thing that I notice, the waterborne finishes compared to a solvent base or the true lacquer finish, is that I've got to get 3 coats, maybe even 4, to get the sheen that I like, where the solvent-based lacquer, I only really had to do 2 coats. Once in a while I did 3, but really 2 coats, you can get that nice depth. But with this, you need at least 3 coats to start giving that, that really nice deep shine that that I like, on my pieces. So that's really the only difference. The other thing that I love about it is there's no odor. So, it smells pretty good in here, where the solvent base, it would burn your eyes, you would cough. It was pretty rough. So this Chem Aqua Plus, I'm really digging it. So again, you can check that out at Sherwin-Williams, and yeah, I'm loving it. Well, we'll give this a few minutes just to set up, then we'll come back in, flip it upside down, and then we'll give it a first coat on that side. So it's about 8 o'clock right now on Saturday evening, and believe it or not, I clear coated the glider stand and the hoof rails, and I also clear coated the medium bow rockers as well. That took pretty much all day. I started somewhere around 9:30 and I finished around 7 o'clock and grabbed something to eat, and I really wanted to get in here and see if I can get this all turned around and see if I can play with it here a little bit and show you all. Either I'm going to screw up or this is going to look really, really cool. So either way, we're going to find out together here. But I wanted to wait until the sun went down so that I got some pretty good light in here. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're just going to use some some light brown airbrush paint. Again, Createx, this is what I use. So I'm going to start with that. This light brown has a little bit of red to it. So all we're going to do is just stand back and just let this mist on. And we're just going to try to blend all of this tan in and make that kind of disappear. So let's see what happens. Okay, here we go. I think I'll start right here. This is where the saddle blanket's going to go anyways. We'll just kind of test it out, get a feel for it. Really anxious to see what this is going to look like when I put clear coat on it. The color should really come out. Okay, that was the light brown on there. Now I'm going to go with dark brown, again Createx. We're just going to mist it on, we're going to layer it all over. After we do this, then we're going to go to a black, and then we'll just highlight some areas. We're not going to do it all, but we're going to do some areas and around the, the jaw line, some of this around the front of the leg area, all of that. Just give it some really cool definition and shadow lines. Okay, this is black. So again, we're just gonna go over, we're just gonna hit some highlights and some areas and just darken the brown a little bit and just, give it all some interest. Especially down here in the back of the leg areas, I like to darken those up. I think that's it. I think I'm going to walk away from it. I'll tell you, it looks really cool. It's probably hard for you all to see, of course, in the camera. But I'll tell you, I'm really, this is going to be fun to pull the tape on this one and see what this looks like. This is going to look really, really pretty cool. See, when I did the black, I just misted it. I didn't go crazy. All I'm trying to do is just put a light layer on that because I still want that chocolate brown to come through. So you can see that. So once we put the clear on that, you're going to see right down into all of those layers of paint. And I think it's going to give it a really cool effect. This may turn out to be one of my favorites. So I'm going to walk away from it for now. I'm going to go get showered. This has been a long, long day. We're going to be revisiting this horse anyways. When I pull the tape on all of this, I still have the hooves I've got to paint. So if there's a few areas we need to go back and touch up, we'll be able to do that real easily. But I'm telling you, this looks really, I'm really happy with it. I think this is going to look really, really cool. Awesome. Well, we'll pull it out tomorrow morning. I just can't help myself. I keep playing here. But we'll pull it out of the paint booth tomorrow morning and we'll get it out in some light. We're supposed to have some, a sunny day again tomorrow. So we're really going to be able to take a look at this thing in some good natural light and see what it looks like. But man, I'll tell you, this thing's going to look dynamite. This thing looks good. We'll see you all tomorrow. Well, I carried our horse out here in the shop area. I have a lot more natural light out here, and I just wanted to walk around it and take a good look at it. And I'll tell you, I'm really excited over this one. This is going to be a lot of fun. We go to clear coat. I don't think the camera can pick up the colors that are coming through on this, but believe me, this is really going to look sharp when we put our clear coat down. It's hard for me. I just really want to get in here and start pulling all of this tape and uncover all of these white markings and step back and take a look at what it's really going to look like. But I'm going to hold off on that for at least a day or so. I was able to get our large horse in the paint booth and I have it all clear coated, so it's all finished and ready for final assembly. And I'll tell you, when I go and I clear coat one of these horses, if it's a medium, a small, or especially a large, for the first time, it's nerve-wracking, believe me. I always kind of do the old, getting that first coat on, and the clear went down beautifully. So, and that's the thing, when you're working on one of these horses and you put all of this time and energy and it comes down to the clear coat, if you don't get that right and you get overspray or something, it kind of ruins the whole piece. So once that first coat's down, then my nerves I come down a little bit and I start to calm down. But believe me, that is nerve-wracking. But I'll tell you, that horse, yeah, when I pull that out and you take a look at it next week, it's going to be a stunner as well. Well, I think that's where I'm going to leave things for this episode. Next week we'll start to do final assembly on our large horse and get that crated up and get him sent home. I really appreciate you all hanging out with me here at the shop. And again, I hope you got something out of this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching me kind of create a new color scheme here. And this will be a lot of fun, like I said, when we go to clear coat this. Love to hear from you out there. Shoot me an email, drop me a comment down below. Speaking of emails, I had a lot of fun last week. I met Pete and Noreen. They're in Australia. They've been kind of watching the channel here, and they are also rocking horse carvers and makers, and they do some beautiful work. So they were kind enough to shoot me up some pictures. They're doing an outstanding job. So kudos to you guys down in Australia. It's been a lot of fun, Pete, to talk to you. Seems like we have a lot in common, that we both like to you know, not only carve these rocking horses, but we also enjoy kind of restoring like old rusty equipment and machinery. So that's something that I also have a passion for here. So it was a lot of fun to talk to you, Pete and Noreen. Keep up the good work down in Australia. Once again, thanks a lot for hanging out with me here at the shop. And again, if you're enjoying this, please think about subscribing, you know, like, share these videos, as well as hit the bell so that you're notified whenever I post a new video. So until next week, as always, happy carving. Take care.